Leman Russ had been searching for it, that which he lost, which he had relinquished, an heirloom of the past, when he was not lost in the warp. He had embedded it into Yggdrasil, or whatever amounted to it in this realm, the Tree of Life, and many other names besides that one. The weapon had stood by him whenever he was alone. It was family. That blade had never failed him, and whenever he was in need of it, the sword would make itself known. It had a name, and it was Grunbeld. There were stories that claimed this had not always been the case, and that it had another name. Only Leman Russ could say for certain. The blade had divulged all things to the Primarch. The Lord of Wolves was the person that had won the loyalty of it, and from that came a bounty of knowledge. Who his father had been, when war had not consumed the galaxy as it had. The stories were hard to believe, but if there was any truth to these tales, these myths that had been shrouded in mystery and hearsay, Dragon Slayer would be salvation. The wound had to be unmade, and it could only be unmade if history was rewritten. The power to do this did not exist in the Imperium of Man. It did exist in this relic. There was only one problem. It is a pleasure, brother. Angronius of New Syria, the demon prince, had been given a task. This great sword had to be concealed. It could not be found again. The Lord of Wolves has come to my lovely abode. Yggdrasil had been desecrated, the Tree of Life made to be a monument to death. It had been decorated with the corpses of countless Valkyries, these sisters of battle who stood watch over it, if only for the sake of their duty. The oath they swore to none other than their brother, Leman Russ. Those maidens had been impaled on many of the branches. They fought bravely against the Lord of the Red Sands, but it was for naught. Angron was the epitome of what it meant to embody violence. He had inherited that. It was the only thing I had ever given him, and there was no escape from the mortification I felt now. Vurahath intertwined with the entrails of every enemy that stood in his way. The black blade forged by the dark mechanicum on Sarum for Angronius of New Syria. During the siege of Terra, it had consumed 1,000,000 souls, and it was a testament to that voracious appetite for war he was known for. This demon prince was the favorite of Khorne, and he had become an extension of his master. It was all a poison, that which I had bequeathed to my children. There was always a price for it. This blood was no gift, and through it they had known parts of my soul. The warp played no part in it. These were the flaws of a mortality that was unfiltered. They had to endure all that I was, both good and bad, both love and fury. The grievous miracle did not come without any consequence. The red thirst and the black rage. The flaw. Sanguinius was not the only one who had to live with that insatiable thirst. However, when the brightest one had won against it, the Red Angel reveled in the act of lascivious barbarity. It was a comfort. When all things had been taken from him, war had come to claim him, and in the same way it had claimed Arlan Vorlesh. The Immaterium despoiled this holy land, and only for what one could claim was dreadful truculence. This is what I was. This is what I could have been. This is what I deny now. Do you have anything to say? Anything at all? Or will you die a mute? The Red Angel would not hesitate, not even against any of his siblings. If silence is to be the last thing on your lips, only this, Angron. Leman Russ wears a condescending grin. Those fangs of his glistening in this sacred realm which had been painted red and left violated by the corruption of the warp. Do well to remember it. As if in response to this declaration, this plane began to convulse. There was a storm in the distance. The rain would wash away all of the blood. It would purify this sin. I am the wind.